The Joker becomes a hero who will then make the Dark Knight a villain. Batman, White Knight. DC's iconic characters. All-star writers and artists. Intense, provocative, daring. Batman, White Knight.
You've been waiting for, so without further ado, sit back, turn off your cell phone, and enjoy today's Fathom event.
It's difficult to imagine a world where we hadn't seen a brooding live-action Batman. But before the 1989 film, for a lot of people, the name Batman conjured up visions of Adam West, or the animated Caped Crusader from Super Friends. It was the comic books that first reestablished Batman as a grim avenger of the night. In the early 1970s, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams crafted Batman comics that proved much darker than the 1966 TV show, which was full of bright colors and family-friendly action. Producers Michael Uslan and Benjamin Melniker saw an opportunity to reimagine a live-action Batman as he was depicted in the comics by the likes of O'Neil and Adams, and later Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers. They acquired the film rights to Batman in 1979, and their quest to bring the Dark Knight to the silver screen took nearly 10 years. Over that decade, numerous writers, directors, and actors would ride the Batman movie rumor carousel. After his breakout success with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Tim Burton was tapped to direct in 1985. Burton then brought on writer Sam Hamm. Warner Brothers loved Hamm's script. When delays arose, bootleg copies of the script were sold at conventions to fans who clamored for a live-action version of Batman that echoed the comics. It wasn't until Burton earned another hit in the form of 1988's Beetlejuice that the studio finally had the confidence to move forward with his Batman film. Casting legendary characters like Batman and the Joker takes precision to The Dark Knight. It doesn't matter what era or how old you were when you saw this film, it's hard to forget the first time you see the Batmobile, the Joker's comedically huge but deadly handgun, or when Keaton delivers his classic line, "I'm Batman." Then everyone has their favorite moment from the film, which is why DC Universe presents, with pride, Batman.
Gotta dress for the event. So yeah, Batman, the original Batman, the Tim Burton one. I just came out of that movie. They're viewing all four of the Batman movies for the Fathom Events for the 80th anniversary, and this was the only one I was able to go see because I have to work on the other days that they're going to be showing the rest of the films. I think Batman Returns is Monday, I think, and then Batman Forever is next week. I think next Friday, and then Batman and Robin I think is Sunday. I could be completely wrong on that, so I'll check it. Check the Fathom Events website to see for yourself. But yeah, I got to see the original Batman. And what do I even need to say about it? I love that movie. Very flawed, but fun. It's a great movie all around. It's not as great as the Nolan films, but it's still a really good movie. I love the visual look of the film for the time. The casting is great. The action is very good. It was great to see that movie on a big screen again. Anytime I get to see an older movie like that on a big screen, I'm there, man. Like Ghostbusters I saw on the big screen here a couple of years ago. Close Encounters, Back to the Future I've seen several times on the big screen. Yeah, I just like going to see these older movies, and Batman in particular is an interesting one because 30 years ago this came out, and it was really hyped up. And a lot of people got really excited back then. It's interesting when you hear all these stories about how Batmania really took over in '89. Like when the Batman posters came out and people put them on buses. They were on bus posters. People broke into the bus posters to steal the posters, and like that kind of stuff. That's crazy to think that there were billboards all over the place. There was a There was a lot of toy tie-ins and comic books that sold really well. Part of that probably I think is the combination of the 50th anniversary of Batman at the time, but you know, that and the movie, it was just the perfect timing for that. And that movie really represents the summer where we essentially got the overall summer blockbuster season model. Like, '89 was a big year for that, and I think there was a lot of other movies that came out during that time that kind of set the mode for what every other summer would look like. Because that year, I think you had Ghostbusters 2 that came out, you had Indiana Jones 3, Last Crusade. I'm trying to think of what else there was. I think Friday the 13th is that movie came out during the summertime. There was also... Now I'm not gonna remember, but yeah, 1989 was a big year for that kind of set the tone for what every other summer blockbuster season was gonna look like. Like compare Avengers Endgame just made over $350 million this past weekend, which is unbelievable. But back in '89, when Batman came out and made $40 million on its opening weekend, people thought that was too incredibly hard to reach because not a lot of movies made that much money. When you really go to Box Office Mojo and see the box office numbers for those movies back in the 80s and all that, you don't really get to see $300 million all that often. It's like once in a while, you got something like E.T. or Back to the Future, Ghostbusters. Those numbers were hard to come by back then, but now it's like an everyday thing, and it's amazing how the movie-going experience changes from the way it was back in the 80s, because I think Batman opened in 2,500 theaters, which is a normal release, like a regular comedy or an action film that doesn't have a huge budget to it. Compare that to what Avengers Endgame opened up on, which is 4,600 theaters across the country. But yeah, it was weird. It's weird when you think about how far we've come since then. But I really do appreciate that I got the chance to see this movie on the big screen. I really love this movie. And what else can I really say about this movie that I haven't already said already? I've talked about this movie on the site. I've talked about this movie in the past. It's not my favorite Batman movie. I've reserved those reservations for The Dark Knight and the Nolan trilogy in particular. But it's still a really great movie. I love this movie so much. Michael Keaton's great. Jack Nicholson's great. Kim Basinger's really good. The visuals are gorgeous to look at. The action is great. It was great to see that on a big screen like the one I saw in the theater today. And hopefully, I want to see them do more re-releases of 80s movies of these classic movies from the 80s and even the 90s. Like when I saw Ghostbusters and Close Encounters a few years ago here, I really appreciated that I got to see both of those movies on a big screen like that. It's a shame that you don't usually get to see those anymore, except for the Fathom Events thing, where they're one day at a time. Not every time you can get a chance to see. You don't get to see them if it opens on Friday, you don't get a chance to see it on Saturday. You got to see it on that one specific day. It's a shame too, because I really want to see that come back at some point. And I think there should be, because the nostalgia factor really does work if you put something back in a theater that people really want to see. Like Space Jam. There's a sequel coming out, and I know that Space Jam is not really on that same level as some of these other movies that get re-released, but Space Jam 2 comes out in about a couple of years. You want to get the hype built up for that? Put the original movie out. I mean, look at what happened with Toy Story 3, the Toy Story movies. They put those movies back in theaters the fall before Toy Story 3 came out, and Toy Story 3 really became a big hit that following summer. Then again, that could have been just the fact that people could get to see Toy Story and Toy Story 2 again on the big screen. But you get the idea. I really want to see them put more movies back out, pour more of these older movies back in theaters again, and I really would like to see. Yeah, I just really want to see that happen again. Like, I'll take the newer stuff too, but every once in a while you could throw in an older movie too. Just a suggestion. So yeah, I'm just rambling on right now, but yeah, Batman '89. Got to see it on a big screen, and I'm really glad I got to. And now that I've finished my rambling and my bitching and moaning, let's go over to Best Buy. Thor's got some big ass feet. Okay, so here's a clarification of when the next 3 Batman movies are going to be showing. I think I said Sunday, I think I said tomorrow, but that's going to be Monday. That is going to be next Sunday, which is Mother's Day. And then that is next Tuesday. So if you want to get those tickets, there's the website up there.